Hello and welcome to Pumptec's tutorial on the 112X pump rebuild. In this video, we'll be taking apart our 112X pump, putting in replacement parts using kits A and B, and putting the pump, the head manifolds, all the parts back together. In kits A and B, we have a plunger guide, a seal ring, a 121 O-ring, plunger, and grease. In kit B, we will have white washers, valves, 116 O-rings, and grease. First things first, we will need a 3/16 hex wrench, a towel, a tool to help get washers off, maybe a small screwdriver, or I'm using a paperclip, maybe some water, which isn't pictured here, and also the grease from kits A/B. Alright, let's take apart our pump. We're going to lay our pump on the manifold and use that hex wrench to take off the bolts that secure the heads to the manifold. So once we get those bolts off and the washers, we'll put those to the side and we'll flip the pump back onto the heads and take off that manifold. There might be some parts that come with it. That's okay. We're going to replace everything, so don't worry if you lose track of where things go. When you flip the manifold over, there'll be 4 clear white washers that go with it and those valve pockets. You can put those washers to the side, and then we can take out the valves, the O-rings around the valves, and 4 more white washers between the valves and the heads. Now that those parts are out of the way, we can take off our heads from the plunger, and each side should just slide off, and then we can get to the parts that are in between the plunger and the heads. We'll take off that retainer plate first, that metal plate, and within the seal bore, that hole in the head, there should be a plunger guide, a seal ring, and a 121 O-ring. Now, using kit A, we will replace the parts within that head. In kit A, we'll have the plunger guide, the seal ring, and the 121 O-ring. We will also have the plunger and some grease. Using the grease, we'll want to first grease up that O-ring and place it on the ledge inside the seal bore. Next, we want to take the seal ring, and you might get to put a little grease on this one as well, as you see here, and we'll put it centered on that O-ring. Now this might be a little tricky. It might take a couple tries, but in order to get the plunger guide to fit flat with the seal bore opening, it's got to fit pretty concentric, pretty as one. You don't want to smush the O-ring too far in and get it dislodged and not in the right spot. So just be careful of how you put the O-ring, the seal ring, and then that plunger guide on top. Once those 3 are in, there might be a little kind of a snapping sound, or you know that it fits flush with the seal bore surface, and then we can fit our retainer plate in there. The retainer plate has a smooth side and kind of a rougher finish side. We're going to want that smooth side that has a kind of round on the corners to be facing in towards the pump. We will then take our new plunger, put a little grease on the edges, just to make it a little easier for us to slide the heads onto the plunger. It is important, the plunger orientation. We're going to want that slot facing away from us. So you see that I have it facing towards us, and then I rotate it around. So you want that slot facing away from us when we can see the valve pockets there. You see that there's a sticker here. You want that to be away from us at the top of the screen. But before we put the valves in now, we need to put in our clear white washers. And then we will put our valves on top of those. As I mentioned before, it is important, the orientation. So on top, we will have our X's. That's on the same side as that sticker. So they'll be across from each other, one on each head, XX. Below those, we'll have 2 O's, which is the valve just flipped over on that bottom row. Then we'll put the 116 O-ring around each of those valves. And the next thing to do is to put our clear white washers onto the manifold. I use a little bit of water, but it helps keep the washers in place as we flip it over onto the heads. Now, with those 4 clear washers in place, I will flip the manifold onto the heads and then flip the whole thing back onto the manifold. And it's important to reposition the heads a little bit so that the O-rings fit snugly in between the manifold and the valve pockets on each head. Okay, now that we have everything in place, we can use our bolts and metal washers to secure the heads to the manifold. So we'll put 1 bolt on each hole and secure those in with our hex wrench. Now we will double check that our outlets are in the correct spot if you can see into those ports. On each head, there's an outlet and an inlet, and the outlet will be on the top. That top is where that sticker is. And if you look into that outlet port, you should see the valves with the X. Thank you for watching. This has been the 112X pump rebuild tutorial. If you have any other questions, please see our other videos, visit our website, or give us a call here at Pumptec. Thank you and have a great day.